Walters is open during the week from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. and open until 3 a.m. on the weekends, making Walters a great spot to watch the Olympics this month in Paris.
Here's the wide of the pitch. Swing and Yepes hits it in the air. Backpedaling Bogart's now turning around and reaches over his shoulder and popped out of his glove and caught by the center fielder Jackson Merrill, who was charging in. So Bogart's got all twisted and turned around trying to decide which way he was going to turn his body to make the catch. In the last moment, reached out, glove pops up. It popped out of his glove and hung in the air. Merrill caught it. Unbelievable. One away. The right-hander rocks and kicks. Cease fires. Abrams swings and lines into right field. Johnson coming in. He's there and he makes the catch. And Dylan Cease is bobbed by his catcher Camposano, and here come the rest of the Padres, jumping up and down as they drip back toward the third base side of the mound, out toward shortstop in a hopping celebration for right-hander Dylan Cease, who's thrown the second no-hitter in San Diego Padres history. And the celebration comes to a halt right about second base. Padres pitchers and other staff members streaming in from the bullpen in left center field to join in the celebration as Dylan Cease throws his first career no-hitter.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Friday, July 26, 2024. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. Mark Zuckerman is off for this installment of the podcast. Lucky him. But I am joined by the boss of the podcast, Tim Shovers. And for a second time in 12 months, the Nationals have been no hit. Yes, it has happened again. The Nats, from the 2005 through 2022 seasons, did not suffer a single no-hit loss in a regular season game, but the Nats now have suffered 2 regular season no-hit losses over the last 12 months. August 9th, 2023, a 7-0 no-hit loss at the Philadelphia Phillies as Michael Lorenzen tossed a no-hitter. And now Thursday afternoon, July 25th, 2024, a 3-0 no-hit loss to the San Diego Padres at Nationals Park to complete a 3-game sweep as Dylan Cease tossed a no-hitter. But it's not just that. The Padres have completed a domination of the Nats. The Nats, over their 6 games against the Padres this regular season, 0-6, outscored 43-21, including 19-3 in this 3-game sweep at Nationals Park. And so the Nats for this regular season overall now are 47-56. And yes, we do have yet another shutout loss. 12 of the 56 losses have been shutout losses. A lot of ugly facts that just took us through right there. But Tim, we unfortunately have reached a new offensive low for the 2024 Nats.
A new offensive low indeed. So low, Al, that there were 2 plays late in the game where the Nats had a real chance to get a hit, and both involved Xander Bogaerts. One was kind of a lucky catch that ended up in the hands of Jackson Merrill, a Maryland native who was charging in on the play, and another where it was a sharply hit grounder by Keibert Ruiz in the bottom of the 8th.
3-1. And a pitch swinging a ground ball toward the hole right side. Bogart slides, has it from his knees, juggles, throws to first. Out is the call at first.
Did not seem like Ruiz was running out of the box 100%. Bottom of the 8th inning and a no-hitter. I was quite frustrated by that, and I thought that encapsulated what was a very sloppy day for the Nationals, in addition to the embarrassment of being no-hit.
Yeah, it was a bad game. It was a bad series. And, it's an odd deal, right? Because we just had the Nats authoring a 3-game sweep of the Cincinnati Reds at Nationals Park. And now that gets essentially undone by this 3-game sweep to the Padres at Nationals Park. We know that not all no-hitters are created equal. We have some no-hitters that feature a lot of walks, errors. They're not really like clean games. This was a pretty dominant outing by Dylan Cease in terms of this no-hitter. The Nats in this game, no runs, no hits, 3 walks, 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position, 9 strikeouts. Dylan Cease is a good starting pitcher, as many of you listening already know. And the Nats are a bad offensive team, and that's not new. But it really feels like the problem is, if not getting worse, then certainly not getting better. We thought that James Wood being promoted to the majors might provide a jolt. He's doing some good things. He's hit into a lot of bad luck. But as we talked about even before Wood was ever promoted to the majors, one person can only do so much. And as this season is going on, I am starting to wonder if we are watching the single worst offensive team since the Nationals came to Washington, D.C. The Nats team slash line now for this regular season, batting average at .239, on base percentage at .305, slugging percentage of .367. Those are awful numbers. And the Nats for this regular season now are, in fact, dead last in the majors in home runs with 85. Quantifiably, the Nats are among the worst offensive teams in the majors. And if the team is about to trade Jesse Winker and perhaps also Lane Thomas, you wonder how much worse things might get. Now, perhaps James Wood finally starts to see results that mirror his StatCast output. Perhaps eventually we see the likes of Dylan Cruz and Brady House at the major league level this season. But Tim, I do wonder if we are seeing the worst offensive team in Nationals history, and if perhaps things are going to continue to be bad and maybe even get worse as this season goes on.
Wow, that is such a strong statement. We saw some terrible offenses at the end of 2021. Pretty much every day in 2022. Feel like 2023 had plenty of dry spells in it. You're the one who crunches more numbers than I do in this regard, so I'll take your word for it on whatever you tell me. But you're going to have to sell me a little bit there just because I feel like we've been watching the same offense for 4 years at this point.
Yeah, it's not like they've been very good offensively in recent years, but I think what you're seeing this season may well be the worst. We'll see, okay? I mean, there's still season left, and you do have talent. It's not like the team doesn't have offensive talent. I think that's part of the frustration here. You know, I look at a guy like C.J. Abrams. C.J. Abrams had one of the Nats' 3 walks in this game, but he went hitless in this series. He went 0 for 10 with 2 strikeouts in this series. You know, they're not a team that can't be at least decent offensively, but if you're being honest, they have not been decent offensively this season. They have been one of the worst offensive teams in the majors, even in what is a depressed offensive environment. We know that offense is down across MLB, but even when you factor that in, this still has been among the worst offensive teams in the majors. And, you know, I've been thinking about this with the rebuild. We know that Mike Rizzo is big on pitching, and of course pitching matters. Nobody's going to tell you otherwise. And one of the encouraging things about this season has been what we've seen from Jake Irvin and Mitchell Parker and DJ Hers. But, you know, it's very difficult to bust out of a rebuild and be a good team without doing offense well. And you think about in recent MLB history, the teams that rebuilt and did so successfully. The Astros, the Cubs, the Orioles, all of those teams busted out of their rebuilds in large part because of offense. That's not to say that starting pitching wasn't there or didn't help, but you have to be able to hit to do well. And if you're going to be a good team, you have to be able to hit. The Nats, when they were really good from 2012 through 2019, hit. Yes, the starting pitching led the way, but the offense was very much there. And so when it comes to this Nats rebuild, we've been talking a lot lately about, you know, Josiah Gray and MacKenzie Gore and Irvin and Parker and Hers, but the offense has got to do its part too. And, you know, it's not just about Abrams and Wood. Like, it's other people who need to be there. And, you know, I think about who you just brought up, Keibert Ruiz, and I mentioned guys like Cruz and House when they eventually get to the majors. The Nats need to come out of this rebuild with 3 to 5 guys who they feel really good about offensively. Otherwise, the rebuild is not going to be successful. I don't think. The offense has got to be there.
It is crazy at how many weak sticks they've had over the years. And talking about philosophy in terms of building a roster in a rebuild, I've always been about pitching and defense, and I still believe that those are the main things. However, you talked about the depressed offensive environment. In this world where there are more good relievers than there used to be, this isn't 1997 anymore where most relievers are failed starters. And we see where these games are just like, there's no chance for any offense in the final few innings because of some of these flamethrowers that come out of the bullpen. Where I'm going with this is, maybe it is time to reconsider the value of a big bat more than I've had in the past. My eyes have been opened that you can't just throw out any random major leaguers and expect to score 4 runs anymore and poke out a win. Because the team like the Nationals have no chance most nights to score 4 runs.
It's frustrating, and it's crazy, too, because the Nats in this game actually ended up pitching well, and just a little bit of offense might have done the trick, but there was no offense to be had. We did see the end of the 15-game hitting streak for Juan Yepez. He on Thursday afternoon as the Nats starting first baseman and cleanup batter went 0 for 3, so his 15-game hitting streak did come to an end. Lane Thomas did get on base twice, so there was that. He, as the Nats starting right fielder and number 2 batter, 0 for 1, but with 2 wet-out walks. So Thomas now has a 22-game on-base streak, but he got thrown out in an attempted steal of second base. I mentioned C.J. Abrams. He had a walk in this game, but he went hitless. Like I said, hitless in the series. And James Wood, he in this game as the Nats starting left fielder and number 5 batter, 0 for 3 with 3 more strikeouts, and he in the top of the second committed a throwing error. But James Wood now, since the Nats selected his contract from AAA Rochester on July 1st, has struck out in 29 of his 83 plate appearances. That is a sky-high strikeout rate, 29 out of 83 plate appearances. There's a lot to take in with James Wood. He's hitting balls hard. He's not getting the results. His fielding has not been very good. He's also striking out a ton. And you can live with the strikeouts if you're getting the results. And like I said, I think the results will come. But man, that is a high strikeout rate. 29 strikeouts over 83 plate appearances. Hey, it's Al Galdi to tell you about the latest offer from Window Nation for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. Get 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. This is better than any offer that you'll hear about regarding the trade deadline. I promise you. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. Window Nation is outstanding. Every Window Nation window undergoes a 20-point inspection. Window Nation has a 96% customer satisfaction rating, and 96% of Window Nation windows installed require no follow-up service. Take advantage of this special offer for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And make sure that you tell Window Nation that Al Galdi sent you.
Hey, Nats Chat, want to tell you about Mint Mobile's premium wireless package starting at $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/natschat. That's mintmobile.com/natschat. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/natschat. $45 upfront payment required. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigs on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Runners go, the pitch, swing and a line drive, shallow left center field. Wood coming on, dives, can't get it. One hop off his glove, picked up by Jacob Young. Throw to the plate coming in. The tag by Ruiz is not in time. 3-run score on the play. And a looping double into right for Ha-Seong Kim. We'll see if he gets credit for a double, but with the runners going on 3-2, everybody scores, and the Padres lead 3-0.
Well, the headline item from the Nats' 3-0 loss to the Padres on Thursday afternoon was the Nats getting no hit by Dylan Cease. But we, in this game, did have a rather gutsy performance by the Nats starting pitcher, Patrick Corbin. And this actually was a very strange game in a lot of ways. So the game included a rain delay of 1 hour, 16 minutes in the top of the first. It is very rare that you see a rain delay in the top of the first inning of a game. Usually, if there's a threat of rain for the first inning, the start of the game is delayed, right? Well, we on Thursday afternoon got a rain delay shortly into the game, and the rain delay did the Nats no favors. They were the team pitching in that top of the first. Dylan Cease had yet to take the mound. Patrick Corbin was pitching, ends up having to stop playing in the game because of the rain delay. But Corbin not only did the rare thing of returning to pitch in a rain-delayed game that he started, he ended up pitching well. The rain delay happened with the Padres having the bases loaded with 2 outs. Corbin, to the first batter he faced after the rain delay, gave up a 2-out full count 3-run single by Ha-Sung Kim to shallow left center field for a 3-0 Padres lead. But Corbin ended up lasting for 7 innings and allowing no more runs. He, for the game, allowed 3 runs in 7 innings with 7 strikeouts. He gave up 4 hits, which were a double and 3 singles. He issued 3 walks. He threw a lot of strikes, 109 pitches, 71 strikes versus 38 balls. I want to give Patrick Corbin a lot of credit for this. Yes, he's having a 5th straight bad season. We have talked about that a ton. But this was a 2nd consecutive good start for him. And what he did in this game, he could have gotten all out of sorts after starting a game, leaving it with the bases loaded, sitting out for 1 hour plus due to a rain delay, and then coming back into the game. He did give up the 3-run single, that's true. But after that, basically nothing, and he ended up lasting for 7 innings.
Hats off to Corbin for today in a vacuum. Yeah, he ate up innings, pitched well. The team doesn't have an off day for another week, so helped the bullpen out. Only needed 2 innings right there. But this, Al, as relates to my thoughts on Patrick Corbin's pitching today, go into James Wood in defense. And that's where the Padres took the lead in the first, where Wood grossly misplayed the ball in left field. And I thought the reputation was that he's a good defensive player. So far, I haven't seen it in less than a month of play. And I know initially there was some sense that he might feel uncomfortable in left field, that right field's way better for him, or center field, which I get. Like, I know that left guard and right guard involves a different hand. But I got to say, Al, if Lane Thomas is what's stopping James Wood from playing right field, then trade Lane Thomas in the next week. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, so that James Wood moment, not talking about the error, but talking about what you were just talking about, was on that Ha-Sung Kim single. And, it was in shallow left center, not an easy play, but Wood did not appear to get a very good jump on the ball. It's not always easy to tell watching on TV. And he's had just a lot of awkward looking moments, a lot of uncomfortable moments in the field. You hate to rush to judgment on the guy defensively, but it has not been pretty to watch so far. That's true. And it's odd because he played a lot of center field in the minors. And usually if you can play center field, then you do quite well in a corner outfield spot. But he hasn't played a lot of left field. And we're seeing that here. It has not gone particularly well so far for him. Yeah, I mean, I do think that Lane Thomas very much is a trade candidate for this coming Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern with the trade deadline at that time. I don't know how much the Nats are going to get for him if, in fact, they do trade him because he's not having a particularly good season. And, I mentioned that on-base streak that he currently has. I feel like it's one of the quietest on-base streaks I've ever seen, a 22-game on-base streak. It's hard to recall many big moments for Lane Thomas offensively during that on-base streak. But there's also this with Lane Thomas defensively. So people talk about his arm. Okay, fine. Statistically speaking, Lane Thomas rates as one of the worst defensive right fielders in the majors this season. He, coming into Thursday, had -8 outs above average in right field per StatCast for this regular season. So if James Wood is going to do a lot better in right field, yeah, Lane Thomas should not be stopping you, even if you don't trade the guy. Defensively speaking, he's not having some stellar season in that right field spot. So to me, if Wood is going to be a lot more comfortable in right, put him in right and put Lane Thomas in left. But yeah, I was happy to see Corbin do as he did. And I got to be honest, I have had this thought, and call me crazy, but 2nd straight good start for Patrick Corbin. Remember his last start, the 8-5 win over the Reds at Nationals Park last Friday evening. Corbin on what was his 35th birthday, 1 run in 6 innings. It was 3 years ago that Mike Rizzo traded John Lester and his 5+ ERA for the man who we were just talking about, Lane Thomas. Do you think it is at all possible that Mike Rizzo, who we know is a ninja when it comes to making trades, might be able to find a taker, dare I say a sucker, to take Patrick Corbin come the trade deadline this Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. If Rizzo could trade John Lester and his 5+ ERA in 2021, do you think it is at all within the realm of possibility that Mike Rizzo in 2024 could trade Patrick Corbin and his 5+ ERA?
I do, Al, and I have the perfect trade partner. I have the dance partner for Mike Rizzo. The Milwaukee Brewers, the first place Milwaukee Brewers, who now have both the Pirates and Cardinals over 500 in their division, charging down their necks. The Brewers are without Christian Yelich, it looks like, for the rest of the year. But in terms of pitching, their rotation is TBA, basically 4 or 5 days in a row. They've been patching it together. They've tried Joe Ross this year. They dug up Dallas Keuchel out of nowhere. It would not stun me, Al, that if he got something for Corbin, that not only could he trade Corbin, but then Corbin could face the Nats next weekend in D.C. when the Brewers come to town.
Now, that would be juicy, my friend. That would absolutely be juicy. Now, any trade of Patrick Corbin would almost certainly have to involve the Nats paying at least some of whatever is left to be paid to him for the rest of this season. What is the sixth and final season of that free agent contract to which the Nats signed Corbin in December 2018? 6 years, $140 million. I'd like to think that the Lerners would greenlight such a scenario, because if you get something back for Corbin, who cares if you have to pay him some of what he's owed the rest of this season? Whatever, man, that's a sunk cost. Absolutely do it if you can. I just wonder, I mean, Corbin has eaten innings. He has pitched well over his last 2 starts. If you look at his season, he has had some good starts. He's had some bad ones too. We know that. But yeah, to your point, I wonder if you might be able to find someone somewhere who might actually be interested in giving up something for Patrick Corbin. If you're wondering about the compare and contrast, when Mike Rizzo traded John Lester in 2021 to the Cardinals, Lester for that 2021 regular season had an ERA of 5.02. Patrick Corbin's ERA for this regular season now is at 5.26. We're not saying it's likely, but I'd like to think it is at least possible. And remember, Mike Rizzo over the years has been masterful when it comes to engineering trades. If anyone could trade 2 starting pitchers, each with a 5+ ERA over a 4-year span, it would be Mike Rizzo.
While the Nats are in Arizona next week on Monday night, Green Day will perform at Nationals Park. Plenty of tickets available at Game Time. Game Time is proud of their ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. They also offer a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Create an account and redeem the code NATSCHAT for $20 off. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Here's your AAA report for the game played on Thursday. Dylan Cruz pair of doubles in the leadoff spot. Also drew a walk. Brady House singled in the afternoon. Joey Meneses, by the way, 1 for 5, hitting 179 since being sent down. Now back to the show.
That guy was really good. He was good when we faced him over there. Today it was, both breaking balls were great shape, which we knew coming in, but it was really, really good. So kept our hitters off balance all game.
As far as the Nats bullpen in this 3-0 no-hit loss to the Padres on Thursday afternoon, the bullpen was good. The bullpen did not have to be leaned on too much thanks to what Patrick Corbin did. 2 Nats relievers combined for 2 scoreless innings. Derek Law tossed a scoreless top of the 8th, and Jose A. Ferrer tossed a scoreless top of the 9th. So we were just talking about the Nats and that John Lester trade with the Cardinals. Next up for the Nats is a 3-game series at the Cardinals. Game 1, Friday night at 8:15. MacKenzie Gore will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 2, Saturday night at 7:15. Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher. And Game 3, Sunday afternoon at 2:15. DJ Hers will be the Nats starting pitcher. Prior to Jake Irvin's last start, Mark and I had the conversation of, we felt like it was kind of a big start for Jake Irvin. He had not been good over his previous 2 starts. Was he in a rut, or was he just in a mini slump from which he was going to come out just fine? Well, Irvin went out and pitched quite well. I think this is a big spot for MacKenzie Gore come Friday night. He has not been pitching well. His struggles have been more prolonged than Jake Irvin's struggles were. And I think Gore needs a good outing Friday night at the Cardinals. So I'm rooting for him, and I'm hoping that he does well.
Fan base could really use a good outing by MacKenzie Gore, based upon the recent news with Josiah Gray, recent news with Kay Cavalli, recent performances by Mitchell Parker. They just got freaking no hit on Thursday afternoon. Our pets' heads are getting cut off here, Al. So yeah, it'd be nice if MacKenzie Gore stepped up on Friday.
What do you think, by the way, about what happened with the Nats against the Padres this season? You know, you and I did the show after that crazy game at San Diego a few weeks back, the Jurickson Profar game where everything went haywire. And look, it's not like the Nats were beating the Padres before that incident in terms of winning games this season, but it feels like ever since that incident, it really has stood out. The Padres just like owning the Nats. It's been tough. I mean, this series was 19-3. That was the final score over the 3 games, 19-3. The Padres are a pretty good team. The Padres are not some excellent team, but for whatever reason, against the Nats, the Padres look like world beaters this season.
Yeah, the past few years, since we started this podcast, Nats Padres, we had that weird game you talked about with Profar. The first year was when Scherzer gave up the grand slam to the relief pitcher. How many runs did the Padres score that Friday night in the first game after the All-Star break and Starlin Castro was done for the year pregame, and like that was the end of the season, basically? It does seem like the Padres hate the Nats. Seems like there's some real tension there. I have no idea if C.J. Abrams plays into that and Gore just because they used to be in the organization. But yeah, I mean, the Padres to the Nats this year, they're basically like what the Marlins were the previous few seasons.
Yeah, that series you were talking about, July 16th through the 18th, 2021. The Nats lost 2 out of 3 games to the Padres at Nationals Park. Game 1 was a 24-8 Nats loss to the Padres at Nationals Park on Friday night, July 16th, 2021. Game 2 was a 10-4 gunshots suspended loss to the Padres at Nationals Park. The game happened over Saturday, July 17th and Sunday, July 18th. That was because the game was suspended due to gunfire that took place outside of the third base gate at Nationals Park on Saturday night, July 17th, 2021. We also, during this series, had what you referenced, Starlin Castro, a then Nats third baseman, being placed on administrative leave by MLB. We also, during this series, had the return of FP Santangelo as Masson's in-game analyst, of him having been out for more than 2 months due to alleged sexual misconduct. And we had, like I said, a 24-8 loss. That series was bonkers. I'll never forget that, everything that went on in that series. So I don't want to say that this series was that series, although that series, the Nats did lose 2 out of 3. This series was a 3-game sweep. But you know, as I mentioned earlier, the Nats authored a 3-game sweep of the Reds, just got swept over 3 games by the Padres. Things can change quickly. So who's to say the Nats don't bounce back and have a good showing at the Cardinals? But the Nats certainly could use it. This was a rough series against San Diego. You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can email the podcast, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on our website too, natschatpodcast.com, in which you can purchase a Nats Chat podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. Don't forget, we are offering shout-outs on the Nats Chat podcast this season. If you would like to send a shout-out to someone who you care about, we will deliver that shout-out on this podcast. Email Tim. The email address again, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. For Tim Shovers, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat podcast.
Parkinson's 2-2 with a high leg kick. Fastball slugged on the line to deep left. Clemens is going back. It's over his head, and that's gone. Stone Garrett homers into the left field bullpen, and the Wings have tied the game at 1.